Okay, good. Welcome to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. I am joined with my co-host, as always, Dylan over at Nets Press. Dylan, you got to be happy yesterday. We're at 5 losses in a row. You're a fan of the tank. You're a fan of the Nets trying to lose as many games as possible. They've lost some heartbreakers. The Orlando
Mhm.
game a couple nights ago, this game against New Orleans, games they were very much in, games they could have won. Uh, Give me your thoughts on where you think they are. They are currently fifth, I believe, in Tankathon standings. Correct?
They are. They are now officially 2 games behind both the fourth and the third spot. So really close. We're getting there. Um, New Orleans doesn't have an incentive to lose this year, so I would expect us to be able to get above them at some point. Sacramento's starting to heat up, but again, that's going to be the tight race depending on when they decide to sell on Sabonis, Levine, DeRozan, things like that. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how the remainder of the season goes. It's clear the Nets are finally starting to take the youth development seriously by giving them heavy minutes. Just recently putting Drake Powell in the starting lineup, which was a really good sight to see. He played incredible. So I think we're going to finish in that 3 or 4 spot. It'll be much better than where we were last year, but at the end of the day, the goal still needs to be top 4 as of right now in terms of the actual draft lottery result. Um, to me, as of right now, with the way the team's currently constructed, I think it's DeBanster or Peterson at this point or bust. I'm not sure how I feel about the fit with Boozer or Wilson in Brooklyn. They're both incredible players, but I think Peterson and DeBanster are the 2 guys that would fit this team best and take it to the next level quickest.
I want to get to that because right now, if I'm looking at Indiana, I think is going to finish with the worst record. They're really trying to lose. They won a few games, but they're really trying to lose. New Orleans, I
Yeah.
think, will win a bunch of games. Washington, I also think, will win a bunch of games. Just because they're way more talented than the Nets. So to me, the top 3, and you can tell me how you feel. Will be Indiana, Sacramento, and Brooklyn in some order. Probably that order. Although I think Brooklyn may get to 2, so I think maybe Indiana, Brooklyn, Sacramento. But I think those are your top 3, or I guess bottom 3 teams in that order.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that we can get to 2. I don't think Washington is going to play Trae Young this year. Very similar to Brandon Ingram when he got traded to Toronto. I just don't see them sacrificing uh, being outside of the top 3 just because their pick is top 8 protected this year. So if they are 5, there's a chance that they can fall to 9 and it goes to New York. So I don't see them trying to win games or get any further up than where they are. Like 3 or 4 will be their spots, so this way they can guarantee their pick. But
Well, here,
Sacramento, like I said, it kind of just depends on their trade deadline. And then New Orleans, I think, will definitely get above us. But to be, you know, 3.5 games back of the first spot, 2 games back of the third spot, that's a really good spot to be in. Like we're finally starting to do this properly, which is nice. We're 2-8 in our last 10. We've lost 5 straight. Um, and we've kept the games relatively competitive. Jaegor's had good games here and there. Drake Powell just had a really good game. Michael Porter Jr.'s kind of had 2 off games at this point, but still playing very, very good overall. So I really can't complain with what I've seen so far.
so if you had to guess, where do you think the Nets will finish as far as their tankathon standings? Fifth, fourth, third?
I
Where,
think
where do
that
you,
we're going to finish fourth. I think it will be Indiana first. I think it's going to be Sacramento second, Washington third, us fourth.
okay. I'm thinking second or third. I think I just like okay. Washington sucks for sure. Got it. Understood. They're kind of in the same position as us, where they're trying to develop a bunch of young players. They have more talent on their roster than we do, so they should win more games than we do. It's just kind of even if Trae Young doesn't play a single minute, which it looks like he won't, minus Trae Young, they're still better than us. I feel like their young players are better than our young players. So therefore,
Are they
in
though? Because I
theory,
mean, shit, our guys actually hit shots in the clutch. It's ridiculous. I mean, Jaegor is. I want to see what the advanced
insane.
stat is on Jaegor because he has hit so many clutch threes with under 3 minutes in like a 4 or 5 point game. His clutch rating's got to be absurd right now.
You don't listen to Slater, do you, Eric Slater? You don't like on Nets?
I don't personally listen to the show, but not
Yeah,
really.
he gave us that on the show yesterday. That it was like it was a clutch stat. It was like in the final 5 minutes in a one-score game, his 3-point percentage is the second highest ever in the season behind only Malcolm Brogdon. It was a crazy stat, but he
Yeah.
was like the second highest
He's
every year.
ridiculous in the clutch. He's everything that everybody wanted Joe Harris to be. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, we were all hoping for a guy like that back in the KD Kyrie days. But no, I mean, it's great to see that he doesn't shy away from the moment. He's got the ability to take over a game down the stretch. Like I said, he reminds me a lot of a mixture between Franz Wagner and Josh Giddey. Once his game is fully developed and he's given full reins to kind of just play with free will, he's a guy that could easily put up, 19 to 21 points per game. I mean, he's already putting up what 16 and a half in his last couple of games, and that's basically just from three-point shots. Like once he's able to find an all-around game and get the opportunities to take like 10 to 12 shots per game, you're going to start seeing a lot more points being scored on his end. Especially if he can learn how to draw fouls a bit better too. He's very efficient from the free throw line as of right now. So to me, the sky's the limit in terms of what you can really get out of him as an offensive player.
I want to ask you about that because going into the draft, there were three guys that I really had my eye on, and they all played last night. Unfortunately, Fears didn't drop to us, and Fears didn't shoot the ball well last night, but Fears has been very good at times this season, very good. So Fears, Yegor, and Queen were kind of the three guys I had my eye on for that when the Nets were drafting 8. Did we get the best case scenario? Is Yegor, at least at this point, I know it's very, very early, but of those three guys, is Yegor the best player?
I'm not sure if you can say that he's the best player, but him and Derek Queen have definitely shown the most promise in terms of their upside. Um, Fears has definitely struggled efficient wise, um, and also with his turnovers. But I don't know. All three to me are going to be very solid players. At worst, I think all three of them are like third option caliber players. I think at best, you know, Queen's maybe a second option caliber player. Joman is going to be your third option most likely long term. And the reason I say that is because there's always going to be a guy that can probably put up a bit more points than him, put up a bit more rebounds than him. But his all-around game is going to be incredibly impactful once the time comes to win. So, I mean, as of right now, I think him and Queen are very close as to who's better between the two. But I definitely think that the Nets had a plan and they scouted properly. I mean, I was talking about Yegor a year before the draft. This was one of my favorite players coming out of that year's draft, and the fact that we got him, and to see some of the reactions from some fans kind of is like bittersweet. Now you know that you've got a guy who can really be a long-term piece here and a potential star.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, leading up into the draft and when we draft, if he can shoot, he's going to be a very good player. He can shoot. He can shoot. That's not a problem.
He can sure as
So
shit
yeah,
shoot. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's shooting 39% from three as a
yeah.
rookie. Like he's as of right now, I believe he's the first he's first place in three-pointers made for rookies. I believe. I think he did surpass Kneppel. Because Kneppel missed a couple of games. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. It could be very close. But regardless, he's top 2 in the class as a shooter, next to a guy who was considered to be the next Klay Thompson. So the fact that he's up there with him in terms of efficiency, in terms of overall three-pointers made, for a guy they claimed couldn't shoot, that's incredibly impressive. So like I said, if he can fill out the rest of his game, he's taking probably what 9 to 10 shots per game right now. If they can
Yeah.
up him to 13 to 15 and he starts to get more paint touches or he starts to draw more fouls, he can easily be a guy by the end of the season, let's say last like 10, 15 games of the season, he could be averaging 18, 20 points per game potentially.
This, I'm with on board with everything you said about Yego, and I want to transition to the guy that I want to spend most of the show on. And I've been calling for Drake Powell to start for a while. I know Drake Man, Terrence Mann has played well. He played really well off the bench last night. And they also have Cam Thomas at the 2, who's now coming off the bench. We'll get to that in a minute. But I've wanted Drake Powell in the starting lineup for a while now. I've been calling for that. He started 2 games in a row. Man came off the bench and played well yesterday. Cam Thomas came off the bench and did what Cam Thomas does off the bench. But how do you like the fit with Powell and Yegor playing together and having those 2 rookies starting?
I think it's a great fit. They play off of each other very well. And the fact that Jaguar, as of right now, is more of a floor spacer and facilitator, you mix that with Powell, who is crafty with the ball and is able to kind of create separation to find his shot in the mid-range. He can spot up shoot for when Jaguar is playmaking, but he's also an incredible defender. So I absolutely love the pairing of those two as starters, and I think it should be the case for the remainder of the year.
and for the future, right? To me, like Drake Powell, his 3 point shot has cooled down a little bit. He started off the season really hot from three. It's cooled down a little bit, but we know that he can make threes. That's not an issue. He's physically strong already for 19 years old. He hasn't played a lot of basketball. To me, it's just you're seeing he's getting into the mid range now. He's got a mid range shot. He's taking the ball. He's elevating his game and he's playing with a little more confidence. Like I want to see him really take that to the next level because I see here a guy with a tremendous amount of upside and like no downside. Like, what are your thoughts on his upside and where he fits long term? Because to me, this may be the diamond in the rough.
Yeah, 100%. I think he, like I've said this whole time, he reminds me a lot of like a combination between Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. I think his athleticism is very similar to Trey, and his defensive ability is similar to both. I think his overall offensive game is a bit more similar to Herb than it is to Trey. I don't think he's ever going to be a 25 plus point per game scorer like Trey is currently, but can he be a guy that gives you, 12 to 14 points and is a top tier 3 and D player in the league? I 100% think so. Like I said too earlier, he reminds me a lot of Mikal Bridges as well. So, um, overall, I think
Don't
you're going to
don't do
get
that.
a
Don't do that. Don't
He's
don't
got a
don't.
mid-range game. He's a great defender. When he was in Phoenix, he was had a great mid-range game, a great 3 and D player, and a great defender. So I think that it's very fair to give that comparison to him. I mean, it's not the flashy and pretty one that
I
some
would take
people
him
want,
over Mikal Bridges right now. Right now, I would take him over Bridges. But continue. Proceed.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he can be like a 12, maybe up to 15 point per game scorer at some point in his career. But he's going to be one of the best defenders in the league. So I think that it's an absolutely great pairing that they've been able to find with Yegor and Powell long term. And like I said from the start, I don't expect all 5 of these rookies to be here 4 or 5 years from now. But it definitely seems like Traore versus Saraf for that backup point guard spot is going to be the competition. And then depending on the development of Wolf, that could be, what determines whether or not Clowney's here long term or if he's packaged in a deal at some point for a star. So there's a lot of routes that they can take, which is interesting. But Yegor and Powell have definitely stood out the most so far this year.
You said for a Drake Powell comp, Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. So those New Orleans guys.
I
So
would
I like.
probably say it's closer to Herb Jones and Mikal than it is to Herb Jones and Trey, because I don't think that Powell's got the offensive game of Trey, but I think he has similar athleticism.
Uh, I, okay. I think he like. What don't you like about his like? I know it's very. He hasn't played a lot of basketball, right? It's like having a fighter who's guy who just hasn't really fought anybody good yet and knocks everyone out in 2 rounds. He just hasn't been in the ring a lot. But what don't you like so far about like where's here? Here's my what's Drake Powell's limits offensively?
What are his limits, you said?
Yeah, well, like yeah. Like
It's just
you're
going to come
saying
down to efficiency and overall amount of shots he can take in a game. Some guys don't have the ability to take, 12 to 15 shots a game. So to me, I think that his role is going to be a 3 and D high caliber role player in this league, which is great to have. I mean, that could be a
Chris
starting
Middleton.
shooting guard, that could be your six man. Like it doesn't really matter how he's utilized. I think that he's going to be impactful no matter what minutes, what role he plays.
Chris Middleton as a comp. Can he be Chris Middleton? But probably more athletic.
I would disagree with Chris Middleton in terms of offensive ability, just because Middleton at one point was averaging 22, 23 a game. Like I said, I think Mikal and Herb Jones is a perfect comparison. You have Mikal who can average 15 to 17. You have Herb who can average like 9 to 12. So somewhere in that range in between is what his offensive game could be. But both are very good defenders. Herb being a great defender, Mikal starting to dip a little bit in terms of his defensive ability, but if you compare him to his Phoenix days, I think it's very similar to what you have in Powell.
Yeah, but yeah, Drake is such a better athlete than Mikal Bridges. That's why I don't like the comp. Like Bridges is no great athlete, right? Like he doesn't have hyper athletic. His defense is built on his length, right? With strong guards, physically strong guards. Cade Cunningham, for example, he's got no shot. Like to me, Drake Powell, his defense is built on his speed, athleticism, and physical strength. Uh, all Bridges is long. Am I wrong about like I never when he was here in Brooklyn, I never saw Bridges as a lockdown defender ever.
No, his entire game shifted to offense, but his Phoenix days, he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So we can't knock him for that. Yeah, he didn't do what we wanted him to do here, and it was disappointing. but you were also oversold on the idea of him potentially being a star when he never had that upside. So
I never thought of him as a star ever. Even when he came here and he played really well in that first half of the season he was here. I that's it. He doesn't have. There's nothing. Like, I don't think Drake Powell's going to be a star. I guess it depends on your definition of a star. But do I think Drake Powell's a guy that can average 18 to 20 points a game, 17 to 20 points a game consistently in 2 years from now? I kind of do. Like, he's got the mid-range game. He can explode to the hoop and he can stroke the three. Why can't he
because you have to
average?
look at the roster construction, right? If you have Yegor, who at some point in time you're hoping to take 13 to 15 shots per game and average, 16 to 20 per game, that's already your second or third option in terms of points. If you keep Michael Porter Jr., who's putting up 25 plus, that's your first option scorer. If you grab a guy in the top four this year, that person's going to have a larger role than Drake Powell is immediately. So again, I think when you look at a guy who's drafted 22nd overall, who is known to be a lockdown defender first before his offensive game, I don't think there's a possibility of him becoming a top three option in terms of scoring because that's just not his role. He's best utilized as a 3 and D role player, and role players in this league are starters. Like you have Aaron Gordon, he's not a star, but he starts. So to me, Drake Powell's ceiling is going to be one of the best 3 and D role players and one of the best defenders in the league. And I think that's exactly what we need.
I think I understood, and I'm not pushing back in that. I'm just saying you're not maximizing him. You're not utilizing him if he's just a 3 and D guy because he's got so much more to his game offensively than just 3 and D.
I
He's
mean, we'll
got a
probably see some of that at the end of the season when more of the young guys are getting 30 plus minutes. But again, I think it kind of just comes down to what you want your team to look like. There's no need to have 10 guys on your team that could put up 20 points. You need to have an entire team that you can build around and each individual player doing something to impact the game of winning. His best impact on winning is his defense. And I don't think they're going to shy away
Agreed.
from that and try and expand that role too large to where his focus is more offense than it is defense. He's still meant to be a lockdown top tier defender with an offensive game as a secondary. That's what a 3 and D guy is supposed to be. Like that was Dorian Finney-Smith in his days in Dallas. That was Mikal with his days in Phoenix. That's currently DeAndre Hunter right now in Cleveland. Like there's a ton of guys around the league that you can see as viable, impactful players who can do more, but you don't need them to do more. You need them to play a part. And I think Powell's best case scenario is a guy who gets, 24 to 28 minutes a night, 6 to 8 shots per night, but he's primarily used as a high caliber defender guarding your opposing team's best player. And I think that's where he's going to impact the game most when it comes time for us to win.
I want to spend some time on that. Is Drake Powell now the starting two guard and Mann's coming off the bench? And well, we'll get to Cam Thomas in a second. But is that what we're looking at now? In your
I
opinion?
think he should 100% start for the remainder of the season. I think him and Yegor and Michael Porter Jr. being able to gain chemistry with one another is a really important thing that's needed, especially if this team wants to be semi-competitive next year so they don't give Houston a top pick. Um, so to me, I think yes, you need to start Powell for the remainder of the season. I think they gelled really well together, even though it was their first time playing alongside one another, meaning Yegor, Drake, MPJ, Clowney, and Claxton all at once. So to me, I think you have to keep that going and build up a chemistry with one another. So this way, this time next season, you're much more comfortable with one another.
Powell didn't play a ton, and he wasn't super involved. At North Carolina, he wasn't super involved. The offense wasn't built around him. Is that just a coach? Why? Like, I mean, you hate watching North Carolina, right? Why was he?
No, I actually don't hate North Carolina as a Duke guy.
Oh,
Surprisingly,
okay.
I'm a very casual college watcher, just in the sense that I love watching a lot of teams and a lot of games. Um, but I mean, yeah, his UNC over the past 5 years has not been known as a productive freshman college. Like they don't produce freshmen very well. Caleb Wilson is the best player they've had in well over 5 years, potentially even the best freshman player they've had ever. Like he's doing things that Michael Jordan didn't do, that Vince Carter didn't do. So There's definitely some conversations to be had about him in terms of their development for freshmen this year. But overall, UNC has not been known over the past few years as an organization that develops freshmen very well. So his production was very low at UNC. His role was taken away from him at UNC, and Brooklyn clearly saw there was something hidden in him that was worthy of taking him 22nd overall.
Hubert Davis is moron. Former New Jersey Net great, former New Jersey Net legend. Hubert Davis is he a moron? I think he played about 4 games for the Nets. Is he a moron? Is that was it? I mean, is
No,
it an
he's probably
offense?
saying Hubert Davis is the best UNC player and calling me a moron. But I'm also
Oh,
not, 50 years old, so God forbid, we don't care about guys who played in the late 90s.
well,
Uh,
hey, I remember that team. I remember the team and him and my. Hey, easy now.
like, dude, Caleb Wilson is levels ahead of Hubert Davis in terms of a UNC freshman. It's not even close. What Caleb Wilson is doing at the college level is absurd. I mean, you have a guy who's putting up 20 and 11 per game on incredibly high efficiencies and is being touted as a potential next Kevin Garnett. That's better than anything Hubert Davis ever was heading into the league. That was better than anything that he was heading into the draft process. It's not even
Yeah,
close.
Hubert Davis was great at UNC.
Yeah,
He
great
wasn't
player, top
at
five
the.
player there of all time probably. But can you say that he's having? Can you say that he had a better statistical season than Caleb Wilson, or was he more impactful than? Uh, is like I don't think you can. No. Hubert Davis is the UNC head coach. That is correct. Yeah.
But like you,
Where's Tomlin
he
played?
didn't play. Hubert Davis didn't even play. Maybe he did,
Did he not?
but very little as a freshman. He didn't even get on the court, and it was a different time back then, right? But like to compare Hubert Davis's first year to Wilson's first year is insane. Hubert Davis probably played 10 games and played 100 minutes. Like that's not even a comparable thing. Hubert Davis was great his last 2 years, but he stayed for 4 years. So shout out to him. And it wasn't until his last 2 years, and they instantly averaged. Like he went from not playing to starting and averaging 20. But his first 2 years there, he didn't even get on the court barely. So
Yeah.
not exactly
I
sure
was
how
gonna
you
say
can
yeah. I
compare.
mean his senior season was great. I mean he had 21
So it was
points,
his last two. He
but
was great.
yeah, like that. But realistically, 21 points, 2.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists. The efficiency from three was great, but overall, you're talking about 21 points, and that's pretty much all he was used for. You're talking about
Do you
Caleb
have it? Do
Wilson,
you have his
who's
college stats up? Do you have his college
yeah,
stats?
his final year was 21.4. His
And
third
what
year was like
about his
13 and a
junior
half,
year?
like 13
What
and a
about his?
half.
Is that all he averaged his
Yeah,
junior year?
his freshman year he averaged three.
Huh. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And how many games did he play? 10.
I could pull it back up.
He was barely on the court. That yeah, one, two, three, four.
Yeah, no, Hubert Davis is definitely no Roy Williams. That's for damn sure. I mean, solid coach, but he doesn't utilize and develop freshmen very well. That's clear as day. Um, Definitely not disagreeing with that.
As well, that team that Davis played on his junior year, I'm looking at it right now, had 4, 6, 8, 9 pros on it, and only 5 guys who didn't make the pros. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a team right there. 9 NBA players and only 5 that didn't play the NBA. It's crazy. And I wonder. Okay, so we're on that. That's a good transition. You were saying earlier you don't think Caleb Wilson and Boozer's been your guy, and you've spoken incredibly high of Wilson. You just did again.
Hmm.
Don't really fit for the Nets. Expand on that a little bit. What makes you think that?
I think it comes down to just the play style of which you're trying to develop in Brooklyn. Um, if you're looking for high intensity, fast break offenses like they're trying to play with currently, where they're trying to play a lot downhill, then guys like Peterson and Devanster are your guys. Even Wilson can be in there, but the thing is does Brooklyn view Noah Clowney as their longtime power forward? If you draft a Boozer or a Wilson, there's absolutely zero excuse for them not to start over Clowney immediately. Like they're that good. But that's my point: is if they view Clowney as a long-term starting four, then you're hoping for DeBanster or Peterson because your biggest hole as of right now is probably your 2 or 3 guard, right? So you're looking for the Cam Thomas replacement, or you're looking for a guy who can play the point like Peterson and shift Yegor to the 3. So it really just depends on what they're trying to do long term in that sense. But I think Peterson and Debansta fit best next to Jolman long term, just because both are high caliber scoring options who also have the ability to play off ball, run the pick and roll, find their open teammates as playmakers. Both great defenders. So to me, it kind of just depends on the route that they're trying to take there. But again, all four are great. All four would be incredible options here. All four would have the ability to become first caliber options in Brooklyn. But I think as of right now,
Cannoli.
I personally want the Banster or Peterson most.
I think that's a completely reasonable take. I was just wondering why, because you've spoken incredibly high of both Boozer, that's your guy, and Wilson too. You've been so. I was just.
I mean,
wondering
out
why
of the four, Boozer's my least favorite. And I'm saying that as a Duke guy. Like
as a
to
Duke
me, he's just a lesser athletic version of he's a lesser athletic but more polished version of Paolo Banchero,
it's
which
okay
is a
not to be a
great player.
fanboy of you. Like I love Trey Johnson. I said there's one guy in the draft I do not want. It's Trey Johnson. I do
Yeah.
not want him, and that's my long.
No, I think he's going to be a
Yeah.
great player, but I think that his best fits are alongside a team like Washington or Sacramento. I absolutely hate his fit in Indiana if they were to get him. I don't really necessarily like his fit in Brooklyn potentially, but at the same time too, if you look at Boozer's game and they do end up keeping Michael Porter Jr., then that's a really good forward duo that you can build there where they can play off of one another. Mike being your catch and shoot guy, your high volume scorer, while you have Boozer, who's a high caliber defender, rebounder, playmaker, and can also score within the paint. So, like again, you have all these combinations that you can make that are all great. But personally, I think the two that would be best to build around with the current construction that we have is Peterson and Debansta for sure.
And as much as I love Pearson, the bench just makes a lot of sense. Like he really
It
does. Like if
does.
you,
I mean, he's
yeah,
6'8", but he can play the two guard. Like he realistically could play the two, and you could potentially be running a rotation, like a
you
starting
should
five of Yegor at the one, Debansta at the two, MPJ at the three, Clowney at the four, Claxton at the five. There's not a guy on the floor that isn't
6'8"
6'8" or
over.
taller. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like you're playing the Knicks. Who's Brunson guarding? You know what I'm saying? You're playing
Absolutely
the Wizard.
nobody.
Who's Trey Young guarding? Right?
Whoever Jalen Brunson's guarding is who you target as an
That guy's
offensive
getting 30.
weapon that
Yeah,
night.
he's getting
Yeah,
30.
it would be ridiculous, but I mean, it's the possibilities are endless with what you can do in this draft if you get into that top four, and I think that's the key right now is the Nets need to find a way to get into the top four. I don't care who you have to get on your knees for. I don't care how much money you have to funnel to the league to be able to get this pick, but I don't care what fraud or money laundering. Just do whatever you got to do. Figure it out. We need it.
My guess was if everything holds now and Atlanta misses the playoffs, Atlanta's pick goes to San Antonio. I think the top five picks in some order would be Dallas, San Antonio, Indiana, and then two other teams.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Probably. Why would it be the Nets? Right. I think Atlanta will probably be in there. Why the Nets? Why should the Nets get one of those five? You know what I'm saying? If you're pitching Adam Silver, we need a top five pick. Why should he give a top five pick to the Brooklyn Nets?
Marketability. You're welcome for bringing back the China relationship, and you've got rookies who are developing quicker than most people and experts thought.
It's a fair
You've
pick.
also got a rising all-star.
We got to keep him, but we got to keep him. We got to keep him, right? Like
I think he's going to be kept.
if he's traded, and I will transition into that. Michael Porter. If Michael Porter Jr. is traded, we're telling the NBA we're not serious about winning right away. So to me, they're not sending one of these high caliber rookies there. So you got to keep Michael Porter Jr. And I agree with this. Michael Porter Jr. There's a lot of rumors. I've heard some Nets quote unquote insiders say that he's definitely going to be traded. I don't. To me, Sean Marks is very patient and not proactive in trade. So unless the deal a Bridges type hold comes along, I don't see him being traded. What are your thoughts on the reality and how realistic is it that Porter is going to be traded within the next couple of weeks?
I don't think he will be. I think the Nets view him as a real piece, but I also think that historically Sean Marks waits to sell on his highest valued player until the offseason and gets the most value out of them. Especially as an expiring contract, his value is going to go even higher. But I do think that the Nets are going to try and figure out who they are ending up getting in this draft and what moves are made afterwards. Uh, if it does come down to them trading Mike, I 1000% see Brooklyn going back to Houston and trying to get their 2027 pick back. Like they can do it if need be, but to me, I think that the best thing that you can do is if you land in the top four, you keep Mike and you utilize trading Claxton for expiring contracts to be able to maximize on your free agency value, add some key pieces, go after a guy like Peyton Watson. Um, there's a couple of guys in restricted free agency that the Nets could go after. Peyton Watson being one of the guys that I would really like here, but there's ways that you can construct a roster that'll be in that 8-9 seed range, and I think that that's very doable if you keep Mike and land a top four pick this year.
I did want to. Okay. My inkling is that Michael Porter Jr. is going to be here too. And I said this when they traded for him. I said I would look to extend him. Like I would look to keep him long term. I said when they got him, he's going to be here a lot longer than our friend Cam Thomas is going to be here. That's evidently true.
I'd give him. I would give him 3 years, 43 million descending contract. Where at the final year of his deal, he's making like 36. I would do that in a heartbeat. It's like three. It would be like 3 years, like 120, 125, but that at least keeps him here until he's 31. I think that's a really good range to keep him at and see what he can do.
I'm all for that. Like we were saying, well, he's not going to get another $40 million contract. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I mean, he could. Yeah, he very well could right now.
And he's deserved it. To me, he is the perfect second piece, like the perfect second option on a high caliber team is Michael Porter Jr. He can fit in any offense. He can score. You can't really defend him, right? He's 6'10" and shoots like that. He gets the shot off so quickly you can't really block or even really contest the shot. So, and then he can play with he's so good off the ball and coming off screens. He's the perfect second option on any championship team. I'm not saying he's better at basketball than Jaylen Brown. What I'm saying is, to me, he's a better second option than Jaylen Brown is.
Who is?
Michael Porter Jr. is a better second option than Jaylen Brown.
As a second option, honestly, I could see it. I mean, first option right now, clearly Jaylen.
Jaylen Brown is a better first option. But, like, Jaylen Brown's not a first option. I know Boston's playing great. I got it. Check. Got it. Jaylen Brown.
I'm truly surprised about. I really had them as a bottom 5 team this year. Which, hey, thank God they aren't, because I don't want them getting
in the lottery at all, because they'd be getting a top 5 pick if they were in the lottery. You know that.
It wouldn't even be top 5. It would be top 2. We already know this. It would be top 2. They would trade back to 3. They'd get Boozer, and they'd get ridiculous value in return. You already know Boston's a bunch of scums like that.
Is the NBA going to put Boozer and Cooper Flagg together in Dallas? Is that what we're getting?
I don't think so. I mean, I think if anything, they need to go with a point guard or a center more than anything. So to me, guys like Kingston Flemings, Darius Acuff, LeBaron Filan, Jaden Quainance, like those are the guys that they should be targeting. In terms of like, if you are the league, who do you want to pair Flagg with? Because Flagg's the number 1. You don't want to put him next to another guy who's going to be competing to be a number 1. Because a lot of the times when you're young, that doesn't work out, and that really only works out when you have good coaching. And I love Jason Kidd, but he's not a top-tier coach, right? This isn't like a Brad Stevens when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were there, or are still there, but meaning when Brad Stevens was there. Like, that's not that type of coaching and development that's going to go on in Dallas. You've seen Kidd in Brooklyn. You've seen him in Dallas. You've seen him in New York. Like, he's never really developed much. He's just been a pretty middle of the pack coach. He's good enough to get you places, but I don't know if he has the development in him to be able to have Flagg and Boozer play off of one another. So I personally don't think that the league should be looking to give them a Boozer Flagg combination.
You're a Flagg guy. What position is Cooper Flagg? Like long term?
He's a long term small forward, power forward.
Okay.
Absolutely.
They got him doing everything over there in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah, there's absolutely zero reason for it. It's actually really stupid on their end.
He is a fun watch. Like he struggled early, and but it's expected. He's a fun watch. Like, I've been watching quite a bit of him in Dallas. He's a fun watch for sure.
Oh yeah.
Then the other thing I wanted to touch on was the center position. We talked about this a little earlier. We have a good problem here at the 4-5. First, long term, is Danny Wolf a 4 or a 5?
I think that he can play both. I don't know what it is exactly just yet, but because we also haven't seen him play a major role where you get to actually see him utilize his game to his fullest. So I would expect to kind of have a better answer at that, the last like 10, 15 games of the season.
The reason why I like Wolf, I like Clowney, but I actually think at this point, I actually think Wolf has more upside. And I never thought I'd be saying that. Um, can you start Wolf and Clowney together? Is that you're going to get killed on the boards if you do that? It's not going to work. So that means Wolf has to be a 4. And then if Wolf's the 4, then Clowney's out. I mean, I like the idea of Wolf and Clowney together, but is that just? I mean, Wolf's not a great rebounder, and neither is Clowney. Are we just gonna get cooked on the boards if that's what we go with?
Um, I mean, probably. It would probably be very similar to when it was Dorian Finney-Smith and Claxton, like in terms of how the rebounding can look in that sense. So I personally would stay away from that.
So then Wolf's your, then you have to make a decision here on who's your 4, right? I mean, unless you want to use Wolf as kind of like the backup 4 and 5, and he's playing 30 minutes a game like that, where he's backing up Clowney and the starting whoever the starting center is at that point, which I want to get into, right? Does he just become your backup big, playing both 4 and 5 minutes?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, again, this is a guy who was taken 27th overall. You're not expecting him to be,
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic. We get it. Jokic was a second rounder, but that's a once in like an every 15 to 25 year type of get in the second round. So, I'm not expecting him to become that type of player. I don't expect him to become a Sengun like player. Does he have
No.
similarities to them in a
Yeah.
similar play style? Yes, but it also depends on what level they can get to with that play style. And for him, as of right now, I think that he'd be best utilized as a backup and continue letting him get comfortable and more efficient inside the paint. He's had a lot of issues this year with finishing at the rim. So to me, I think you got to just kind of keep developing him and letting him play off of a certain amount of minutes. That like 15 to 18 minutes per game range right now. By the end of the season, probably getting him like 20 to 22 and really seeing what he can do in that sample size.
I did want to transition it to the center talk, and this is a good transition here. Pacers are shopping Matherin to get a starting center and could have interest in Clax. Do the Nets go for it now or wait till the offseason? What do you think about Matherin for Claxton in some capacity and bringing Matherin in here as a fit? Give me your
The
thoughts on this
the
altogether.
biggest problem, again, similar to Kaminga, you have to pay this guy next year. Like Kaminga, you could opt out and let him walk, or you have to opt in and pay him 22.5 million. Same thing with Matherin. He's on an expiring contract, and you have to pay him this offseason. I don't think the Nets are interested in locking down a young player on an overpriced deal. So to me, you would again need a third team. It's very difficult to make deals with certain teams right now because of those issues with players that the Nets are unlikely to want to pay. I still think the best fit, and I've been saying this for a year and a half now, is Charlotte. I think Nick Claxton in Charlotte makes way too much sense. Musa Diabate is not a true starting center. Uh, Very solid, high intensity player off the bench, but he should not be playing 30 minutes a game. Ryan Kalkbrenner, still young, still developing. I don't think he's ready to be a full time starter yet. Nick Claxton next to LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Con Kneppel would be a very, very good young and exciting team that could start making play-in and playoff pushes within the next, couple of months to maybe a year and a half. And I think that's something that they would definitely take seriously and look into. So I expect Charlotte to be in big pursuit of Claxton here shortly.
So, which brings me to my next question, and kind of like the final thing here. Between the two of them, Sharp and Claxton, they're very, very different.
Hmm.
But they're both being effective this year. And I've never said that about Claxton. Yeah, we've come a long way with Claxton, and he's bouncing back. But the Nets, I don't think it's realistic to say we're going to pay both of them. Are the Nets better with Claxton on the court or Sharp on the court? And should they look to trade one or the other? And if so, which one should they look to trade?
I think at this point in time, you have to trade Claxton. The descending contract is valuable. You have the ability to keep Sharp on a $6 million deal next year while also being able to extend him on a really cheap long-term deal. I think that you need to, at this point in time, see what you have in Sharp and see what he can do as a full-time starter. His per 36 numbers is something that we've talked about for 2 years now, and as of right now, I believe this season he's averaging 15 to 16 points per game and about 12 to 13 rebounds per game in his per 36. So To me, I want to see that sample size. I want to see what he can do in like a 29 to 32 minute a night role. Um, Again, if he's giving you, 13, 14 per game and 11, 12 rebounds per game, that's borderline Jalen Duren production, who is a potential all-star this year. So I think that the Nets really need to take that seriously and into account and to give him the opportunity and see what you can get out of him. Because again, it's not like he's played himself into, borderline star, all-star caliber conversations. So realistically, if you accept that team option this upcoming offseason and extend him, say it's, 3 years, 36 million, where you're getting him for 12 million per year with a player option, like you do that 9 times out of 10 and get it done. So I think that's the avenue that Brooklyn should look into.
Sharp has vastly improved. Like last year, if you would have asked me, I said Sharp is just a backup center. That's all he is.
Yeah.
His ability to finish at the rim. He's got that little baby hook. Now, it's just being able to catch the ball and go up with it, not get it slapped away all the time. He's shown improvements in those little things, right? Like him finishing at the hoop is so much better than it was last year. He's shown you the improvements that you wanted to see. To me, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm with you. I want to see what it looks like him as the starting five. But let me and I agree with everything you said, but let me just be devil's advocate for a minute. You talked about Claxton's contract being valuable because it's descending, and I agree with you. So let me try this on. How would you respond to this? It's valuable. So far, it's valuable to us because now we can rebuild 2 years from now when we have to win, and his contract is only $20 million, which is not that bad. So why is he something that someone else can rebuild with, but not us? Why don't we want to keep him as a rebuilding piece for us?
Because he doesn't fit the key pieces that we have. Like realistically, if Michael Porter Jr. is your guy, why do we want a center that struggles when it comes time to win a game against a true big who can't out rebound Michael Porter Jr.? I mean, they're practically averaging the same rebounds per game right now. Like, I don't think that he is a viable starting center on this organization. Could he be next to a Tajon Saloon, Brandon Miller, Con Knepel, and LaMelo, where it's a very versatile and fast-paced offense? Yes. Where he also doesn't have to be the fourth or fifth option scorer? Yes. I think that he's best utilized as a like a point center where he can play make at the top of the key, he can play the pick and roll, and he can defend the rim off of help defense. But I don't think that he's a primary on-ball defender in terms of in the paint, and I don't think that he fits what you want to build with Noah Clowney. So having Clowney and Claxton long term, I don't think is ideal, especially if you want to start winning at some point in the near future.
Yeah, Sharp gives them more options. There's more lineups that they have that make sense, right? Like Sharp and Wolf to me makes sense. Wolf and Claxton, you're probably going to get killed on the boards. Sharp and Wolf, okay, that's a little better. Yeah, to me, yeah, Claxton's probably the better player, but there's more that I can do with Sharp. Like there's his weaknesses and strengths benefit me more than what Claxton does for the Nets. I tend to agree with that, and I still think you got Sharp one more year at $6 million. I think whatever it is, you got a player option on him next year, which I'm sure they're gonna take the player option on him. He's gonna be back here next year for $6 million. The last thing I wanted to talk about was we talked about Matherin and these guys, and I'm saying Zion or Ja. I'm willing to take a shot on these guys if the price is right. Assuming we don't get our picks back from Houston, everything stays the same. Mm-hmm. We have to try to compete next year. If we're not going to spend any money on guys like Matherin or whoever, how are we really going to compete next year? We're just going to be a bad lottery team and then give that pick to Houston.
Well, because like I said, you have guys like Peyton Watson that's available. You have draft capital and contracts that you can pair to go out and get a star. Realistically, this team, if they didn't start shutting down Michael Porter Jr. certain games, they'd probably be at like 15 or 16 wins currently. They'd probably be in position to shoot for that 10th seed. So what makes us think with, 30, 40 plus $million in cap space, the ability to make small moves to improve the roster at the trade deadline and drafting potentially a top 4 player, what makes us think that that's not going to be an 8-9 seed with Jordy?
Well, so my thing is, I saw this coming 2 years ago when we're gonna tank, give up everything, have nothing except for rookies and draft picks. And then we get to next year where we have to win and we have to compete because we don't own our pick and we don't have anything to compete with. And that was why I was against tanking from the get go, because we can't. The tank could only be 2 years, and now we're let's say we end up with the fifth pick here,
Hmm.
whatever that may be. We're still not ready to compete, and then we've gotten rid of everything. That's why I don't want to trade Michael Porter Jr. because I need him to compete next year. And if I trade Michael Porter Jr., then I really have nothing to compete with next year, and I don't have my pick. So I'm just giving Houston probably another top 5 pick. So that's why I did because we weren't going to be able to tank long term. It was at most 2 years, which is where we're at now, and we're at the end of that. Right, like this is the second year, and we have one of the worst starting teams in basketball. So we're just going to add another rookie to that. That adding another rookie to this isn't going to make us competitive. It may make us more fun to watch. It may give you a little hope, but it's not going to make the team competitive, and we need to be competitive next year. That's why I was open to trading for Zion. I was open to trading for Jai. Give me someone that, if it works out, can help make me be competitive. I don't. How are we competing next year? I don't see it.
See, I disagree. I think if you look at certain rookies who come into the league and how the impact that they can make on certain teams. Like, look at the impact that Stephon Castle made immediately in San Antonio. Look at the impact that Cooper Flag has made in Dallas so far.
Dallas
Like,
sucks. Like I agree, Cooper Flag. That's my point.
Dallas is what, seventh, eighth right now. That's better than, I mean, think about it. They haven't had Anthony Davis pretty much at all this year, and they're 15 and 26, and they don't have Kyrie Irving. Like, realistically, the fact that they're at 15 wins is more impressive than it is being the eighth overall lottery odds right now. So, I mean, if they had Kyrie and AD was still dealing with these injuries, they'd probably be at that like 19-20 win mark, which is between 12 and 14 in the lottery. That's a borderline play-in team. So I think that Flag's impact is much more valuable than what people think based on their record. But again, you're also seeing it with Yegor right now. He's single-handedly won us a game or two. He's taken over games down the stretch to where he keeps you close to winning, which is why, again, if you land a guy who is going to enter the league as a borderline star, aka Peterson, DeBansta, potentially Wilson, like you're already looking at an NBA ready caliber player. So I think that if you land one of those top four, you're going to be at least 4 to 5 games better than you were this year. And that also puts you in a position to where, depending on what you add through the trade market, through free agency, you could be looking at doubling that 5 games better than what you were this year into 10 games, which, let's just say we end the season at 18,
32 and
19
50.
wins.
Oh, this season. Yeah. Okay, I got
Yeah,
you. 18, 19 wins this
you're
year.
already looking at 30 wins next season, the following season.
Right.
So that's those are the types of improvements that you're looking for. But again,
30 wins
I
is not
think that.
competitive. 30 wins is a dismal season, bro. And then we don't even have our pick at the end of that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
But I'm
is
just saying,
30.
if you look at the way that the East is formatted, and if you look at the way that certain teams are starting to fall. Like, I'm sorry, Indiana's not Tyrese Halliburton away from being a contender again. They fucking suck. They are horrible. Like Halliburton, I'm sorry, Halliburton's not that impactful of a player. They're going to be a play-in team next year when he comes back. Um,
What if they get?
Washington's.
What if they get Peterson? What if they get? Wait, I'm being serious. What if they get Halliburton and Peterson next year? They're pretty good, aren't they?
It's good, but will that work next to one another? What's going to happen with Nemhard? What's going to happen with McConnell? You're now overfilling your guard room. Like, there's too many things that is wrong in Indiana right now that is going to prevent them from being back in that top four seeds, being able to take a finals push. Like, they need some work. They're like 2 or 3 years away still. They're not getting back there immediately. It's kind of similar with Atlanta when they made the Eastern Conference Finals. They never got back. Like, I think it's very similar with Indiana. So
Yeah,
Washington
but the
is probably not
Pacers
going to be
were
better than us next year. They
a
just
blown
refuse to improve
Achilles
the
away from
roster.
winning the championship. Like Atlanta got manhandled in the conference finals, right? They got there and they
But
got
again, you can go
manhandled.
on a miracle run. You've seen it before in sports. Like, you can go on a
Yeah,
miracle run and then just disappear. Like, look,
for
look
sure,
at the
for
Red
sure.
Sox the year they won the World Series. The year after, they were one of the worst teams in the MLB.
Same thing with Texas Rangers, right? Texas Rangers won the
Yeah.
World Series in 2020. They start roll immediately. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But that's what
Uh,
I'm saying. Sports changes very quickly, and especially when you're coming off of a torn Achilles and you lose your starting center, and you have to now pay Benedict Mathurin, and you have guys like TJ McConnell and Andrew Nemhard and Obi Toppin all on long-term deals, and you're not getting any progression from guys like Jarris Walker. Like they're very far away from being a competitive team in the East again.
The last thing I want to look at is, like I said, we are the tank. If you're a pro tanker, and I've been on the fence on this the entire time. The tank is going well recently. I want to take a look at the schedule real quick. Let's see what we're looking at the next couple of games. But the tank's going well, and I expect the Nets to continue to lose. But over the next couple of games, we have Chicago at home, possibly a win, and then at Chicago, we may split that. And then Phoenix, that's a loss. New York, that's a loss. Boston, that's a loss. At LA, that's a loss.
I
At
wouldn't
Phoenix,
say New
that's a
York
loss.
is a loss right now. They're probably going to be without Brunson now.
Ooh, okay.
They're all. I also believe they're 4-6 in their last 10 games, something like that. Like realistically, Chicago's still without Giddey. We're probably going to split with them. Phoenix, we should lose to. New York is 50-50 because of Brunson. Boston, LA, Phoenix, Denver, even Utah. We should probably, yeah. I mean, we should probably go on like a 6-game losing streak from January 23rd until
that's
February 1st.
Right here. To me, these next 10 games, 2 at Chicago. Let's say they split that. You're saying maybe New York. I don't see where these wins are coming.
With the way that Cat, Mikal, and OG have been playing, it's been rough. So I think with Brunson potentially being out, that could be a much closer game than we think. But again, that could also be. I mean, let's see. You've got Chicago. Honestly, you probably sit Michael Porter Jr. for Chicago on the 18th because you play again on the 19th. You probably sit Michael Porter Jr.
Even the
again.
winnable games here, like 18th, 19th, you're back to back. Utah is in the middle of a 6-game road stand, and it's the back end of a back to back after you play Denver and Utah in the Mountain Air. Like those are both losses. I don't.
Yeah, but we also saw this team win. We also saw this team go 4-1 last year on their West Coast trip. So it's like you can do it, but I think if you sit Michael Porter Jr. against Chicago on the 18th, you'll lose. You sit Michael Porter Jr. against, I would probably say you actually want to sit him against Denver just because, but he's not going to. But I would say sit him against Denver because you actually need Utah to lose a little bit now. You don't want OKC getting that pick. Detroit, we should lose to. LA, we should lose to. Orlando fucking sucks, and I don't know why. Washington, that'll be a really important game. That could be the game right there that kind of determines the third spot right now.
Give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These 10 games up until February 1st.
Chicago win. Chicago lose, so 1-1.
Okay.
Phoenix lose 1-2. New York win 2-2. Boston lose 2-3. Clippers lose 2-4. Phoenix lose 2-5. Denver lose 2-6. Utah win 3-6. Detroit win Detroit lose, so 3-7.
I say 2-8. I don't even know where the second one. I'm going to say they get one with Chicago. I don't know which one. Probably the first one. I don't even know where the second one's coming. I really like if I had to bet, I'll say 1-9, but I'll go with 2-8 just because I'm not really that much of a pro tank guy. So I'll be optimistic and say 2-8. I don't know where these wins are coming from. This is murderer's row here. At LA, at Phoenix, at Denver, at Utah, at Detroit. They ain't winning those games. No. They ain't winning those games. So that means they got to get maybe the Knicks without Brunson. I'll go with 2. Like this is. I saw this coming, and this is where 11-27. This is where the rubber's going to meet the road. They're going to make up some ground in those tankathon standings with this run coming up.
Yeah,
like they're gonna do a lot of losing.
They very well could. We need it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any avoiding it. Okay, we're going to beat Utah. No, we're not. It's the back end of a back to back. After you just play Denver and Denver, now you're going to play you. So you're in the Mountain Air, right? You're not winning these games. And then you go play Detroit 2 days later. That's a loss. Like they're losing all of these games. Like they have that, what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight road games. That's 0-5. I can't even see them winning one of these games. Like which one could you see them winning? None of them. I can't see them winning it unless some major injury happens to one of these teams the next 2 weeks. I would give them almost 0% chance Like if you say, Gary, I'm going to give you even money that they go 0-5 in that 5-game road stand, I would take it without hesitation. I can't see them winning any of those games. Not a single one of them. But you're right. Last year they have 4-1 on a road stand like that. So
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah.
Hopefully not.
All right. You got anything else you want to close out with? That was a good show today.
No, I think we're good.
All right. Which is, I know you're busy the next couple of days. When do you want to come back?
Probably sometime Tuesday. If not, I can try and work in something for Sunday, but it's going to be a little hectic.
Well, Sunday we'll got NFL playoffs. Everyone's gonna be watching the NFL playoffs.
That's true.
Less than us. So let's do for Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. It's January 15th, 2026, from Texas to the world. Thank y'all and God bless.